Again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Frankie Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Frankie Rose.
Hey guys, welcome to the Think Tank. Happy Friday. I had it in my mind that today was Saturday for some reason. Go figure. So, hello. Hey, I thank you for that, Mexi. How you guys doing this morning? Everyone doing well this fine Friday morning? So the Karen Reed case is coming up. I think it's still for March 12th. And there is so much to it. Good morning, Luke. That I thought maybe we'll go through some things before we get to the trial. If it actually makes it there, I would love to be streaming that. It's just another one that there's twists and turns and bends and jumps and all over the place. And, we have to kind of dig through and see where the truth is. Yet it's, oi. So I found a clip that I thought we'd go through, and then we'll look at some different things that have been out lately. I've also got a really good document that Sleuthy Goosey did a while back, and I'd like to go through that. So if this doesn't get into a crazy amount of time, we might do that as well, or we'll do it on another live. So for now, I want to show you this. And it kind of gives us a bit of what's been going on.
A woman accused of killing her police officer boyfriend in Canton 2 years ago.
Well, prosecutors now say that they have DNA evidence that showed Reed's vehicle likely hit John O'Keefe. Our Kirsten Glavin joining us live in the newsroom with these new details tonight. Kirsten.
Yeah, this is the fourth opposition the Commonwealth has filed just within the past week. And in it, it does describe DNA evidence in the form of hair and from the beverage cup John O'Keefe was holding. It also highlights relationship affairs coming to a head.
So, yeah, there's a lot coming out right now. So they're saying that this glass that they found, this beverage cup, is absolutely John's. And they're also saying that there is stuff on that vehicle, DNA type things on that vehicle, that is going to place her vehicle with John O'Keefe.
As the high-profile murder case gets closer to trial, prosecutors filing new court documents that allege forensic experts found DNA evidence from the victim himself, John O'Keefe, on Karen Reed's vehicle. O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, was found dead in a Canton driveway during a blizzard after leaving a bar back in 2022. The records state a small apparent hair was noted on the rear passenger side quarter panel. Pieces of an apparent cocktail-style glass consistent with that the victim was seen on video exiting the waterfall within his right hand was also noted on the rear.
So now Karen Reed's side is going to call BS on all of this. They're going to want all of the documentation, and they're still saying that they are basically Karen's being set up. So they're going to say that this is part of that.
Rear bumper. The Commonwealth also stating investigators observed visible damage to the Lexus, including a dent with chipped paint in the trunk drawer, a broken taillight, and scratches on the bumper. An autopsy backing up that theory and ruling out a physical fight, with prosecutors writing, the doctor testified that the victim had abrasions on his right arm. She described abrasions as scratches caused by a blunt object, contact with a blunt object.
Okay, so you guys have seen what they say is from the vehicle, right? That the injuries they're saying is this is done by a vehicle. And the defense is saying, no, that looks more like dog bites. And they happen to have a dog on that property at the time. So I don't know. I did a live not long ago with, he's an expert with dogs. He trains them for the cops. He does all sorts of magical things with these dogs. And he says that these are dog bites, nothing else but dog bites. So the state is saying, no, those are scratches from being underneath a vehicle. I don't know. What do you think?
Documents also paint a dark picture of relationship turmoil between the couple, with O'Keefe's niece and nephew telling investigators the two would argue often. They state the days prior to O'Keefe's death, he tried to end the relationship, with Reed refusing to leave his home. The turning point was on vacation in Aruba, when records state that Reed believed O'Keefe cheated on her. At the time of his death, prosecutors say Reed left angry voicemails on his cell phone, stating, quote, "The first voicemail in time consists of the defendant screaming, 'John, I expletive hate you.' The defendant continues to leave additional voice messages during this time frame where she is stating that she hates the victim, calls him a pervert, and accuses the victim of expletive another girl."
Now, of course, we did reach out to Karen Reed's attorneys tonight about this filing. And
So what do you think about that? Do you think that that plays into what happened? Or do you think this is just things being dug up from their personal life that they're trying to get to fit their narrative?
have not yet heard back. Meanwhile, the prosecution continues to argue that Karen Reed's case should go to trial, as right now it is scheduled to start on March 12th. Live in the newsroom, I'm Kirsten Glavin, NBC 10 Boston.
So there's that. I've also got I've got those documents, but I think before we do that, we're going to take a look over here. I think. So what are you guys thinking about this?
The woman accused of killing her police officer boyfriend in Canton 2 years ago.
Well, prosecutors now say that they have DNA evidence that showed Reed's vehicle likely hit John O'Keefe. Our Kirsten Glavin joining us live in the newsroom with these new details tonight. Kirsten.
Yeah, this is the fourth opposition the Commonwealth has filed just within the past week. And in it, it does describe DNA evidence in the form of hair and from the beverage cup John O'Keefe was holding. It also highlights relationship affairs coming to a head.
So they're also saying that this was not his cup. At first they describe it as like a drinking glass, and now they're saying that it was more like jazzy, more like a cocktail glass.
As the high-profile murder case gets closer to trial, prosecutors filing new court documents that allege forensic experts found DNA evidence from the victim himself, John O'Keefe, on Karen Reed's vehicle. O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, was found dead in a Canton driveway during a blizzard after leaving a bar back in 2022. The records state a small apparent hair was noted on the rear passenger side quarter panel. Pieces of an apparent cocktail-style glass consistent with that the victim was seen on video exiting the waterfall within his right hand was also noted on the rear bumper. The Commonwealth also stating investigators observed visible damage to the Lexus, including a dent with chipped paint in the trunk drawer, a broken taillight, and scratches on the bumper. An autopsy backing up that theory and ruling out a physical fight, with prosecutors writing, the doctor testified that the victim had abrasions on his right arm. She described abrasions as scratches caused by a blunt object, contact with a blunt object. The documents also paint a dark picture of relationship turmoil between the couple, with O'Keefe's niece and nephew telling investigators the
So sound when video stops, you're speaking. It almost sounds like someone doing a donut and a person getting sideswiped with the back of a vehicle as its back end is turning. And they are saying that they seen her drive off in the same direction she was facing. They don't talk about backing up. They don't anything. And when they drive by that vehicle, they're saying Karen was the only one in the vehicle and she was looking straight away. I almost said muted boomer, but I didn't want to be wrong. Hair on the side, rear passenger side, and damage to the tail. And we can't forget that she did, by the looks of it, bump that other vehicle when she was backing up. We'll just take another look
And
here.
we can tell you some of the details are explosive. Prosecutors say they have DNA evidence that can help prove their case. Prosecutors say they have DNA evidence linking Karen Reed to the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. New court documents show the state police crime lab discovered the victim's DNA present on the broken taillight and microscopic pieces of red and clear apparent plastic located in the victim's clothing. They say it was consistent with the broken pieces of plastic from the defendant's right rear taillight. Reed is accused of hitting O'Keefe and leaving him to die outside a Canton home in 2022. Prosecutors say she went back the next morning and said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." The latest court filing also reveals voicemails and texts.
So they're also going to say context, right? Where she's basically going, I hit him, I hit him. Something along those lines, not I hit him, not admitting anything, more of a question.
Prosecutors believe point to problems in their relationship. Prosecutors say Reed is on a voicemail screaming, "John, I expletive hate you." They also say she calls him a pervert and accuses the victim of expletive, another girl. Reed has pleaded not guilty to murder and motor vehicle homicide charges. Her defense lawyers say she's a victim of a police cover-up. They claim O'Keefe was beaten inside the home and attacked by a dog, then left outside. Prosecutors say they sent evidence to a veterinary forensic laboratory that concluded there was no canine DNA associated with the swabs.
So again, they're saying they didn't swab the important parts. And we have to remember he was in the snow when it started. So Mexi would actually be able to answer this better than me. If there was saliva, could the snow wash that DNA away? Because I don't know the answer to that.
Taken from the victim's clothing in the areas of the victim's injuries. Prosecutors have also said human hair found on the back of Reed's SUV is undergoing DNA testing. Now, we did reach out to Karen Reed's attorneys and did not hear back. Now, this case has attracted the attention of a local blogger known as Turtleboy, who is now charged with witness intimidation in the case. He's expected in court tomorrow. We're live here in Dedham. Sharman Sketty, WCVB News Center.
So yeah, they are saying that
sometimes on the journey to finding our
we don't want that. Okay, so let's see here. This was February 22nd, so yesterday. Prosecutors unveiled new evidence Thursday in the run-up to the trial of Karen Reed, including long-awaited DNA evidence from the scene, as they argued why they feel the M case was over the deleting of John O'Keefe in Canton, Massachusetts should move forward. So, okay, here's a question. Why do they not like it? We just seen how much respect officers get when they pass. We just watched 3 people walk into that domestic dispute and they ended up unalived. We have seen the procession from the hospital to the coroner. So why is John O'Keefe not being treated like Officer John O'Keefe? It seems very bizarre. Where is his procession? Where is all of that stuff? And why are they just, hit O'Keefe? I don't understand why they are not making a big deal out of the fact that this was an officer, but they don't seem to do so. Okay, the office also shared witness accounts that they say suggested her relationship with O'Keefe was strained at the time of his death. Reed is charged with second-degree M in the deleting of O'Keefe. So I'll say Officer John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer who was found deceased outside of a Canton home in January of 2022. The case has drawn national attention. The state alleges Reed hit Officer John O'Keefe with her vehicle and left him in the snow to pass away. Reed alleges she is being framed in a large-scale cover-up. The Office of Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey filed one set of documents Friday arguing against Reed's efforts to dismiss the case.
But now to new developments in the case against Karen Reed. She's the woman accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend in Canton 2 years ago. The state has filed 3 oppositions making accusations against Reed and her attorneys of acting recklessly and intentionally giving a blogger confidential information to taint the investigation. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm JC Monahan. Corey has the night off. We want to bring in NBC 10's Kirsten Glavin. She's been poring over newly released documents in the case. She joins us live from the newsroom to explain what's going on here. Kirsten?
Yeah, these documents were filed in Norfolk Superior Court on Friday. You can see there are hundreds of pages in them. The prosecution argues this case should not be thrown out and accuses Karen Reed's team of malfeasance and intentionally manipulating the public's opinion.
New court filings released relating to the Karen Reed murder case, where Reed is accused of killing her police officer boyfriend in Canton in 2022. Prosecutors for the state making their argument that the trial.
So before the trial, and with everything that's coming out, Turtleboy and all this alleged witness tampering, the different opinions on how this taillight was broken. What are you thinking?
Should go on as planned. The documents allege instead of investigators meddling with the case, Karen Reed and her team of attorneys did to sway the public's opinion, displaying misconduct and ethical violations. Much of that evidence tied to communication with blogger Aidan Kearney, known as Turtleboy. Prosecutors claim
Now, with Turtleboy coming up, do you think that he has interfered in this case, doing favors for Karen Reed? Do you think this is what happened? Or do you think he's just on his own little mission here?
search warrant of Karen Reed's phone showed that beginning on or around April 17th, 2023, the defendant took deliberate action to start sharing defense theories, privileged materials, and evidence with Mr. Kearney through an out-of-state intermediary. Documents show the next day, Kearney published his first story in support of a cover-up. The leaking of theories, evidence, and more even coming directly from Karen Reed herself, with investigators stating call detail records from Mr. Kearney's phone revealed that the defendant's phone number and Mr. Kearney had 189 phone calls between June and December 21st, 2023, communicating for an excess of 40 hours.
So what do you think of that? They're saying that, I'm going to back that up a little bit. They are saying that there has been quite a bit of information between Turtleboy and her camp.
Between June and December 21st, 2023, communicating for an excess of 40 hours. This was reported to be in addition to frequent text and phone communications made through the encrypted Signal application. The documents state Reed's attorneys corresponded with Kearney too, encouraging him to harass and intimidate witnesses. Kearney is charged separately with intimidating witnesses and assaulting his former girlfriend. In one exhibit, these photos, according to prosecutors, show Karen Reed violating a stay-away order from her deceased boyfriend and his family, hiring a driver to take her to the home of his niece, nephew, and parents back in September of 2023.
Now, I did reach out to several key players in this, including Karen Reed's legal team. We're waiting to hear back on their reaction to these filings. Meanwhile, the U.S. Attorney's Office.
So what do you guys think of these filings? What do you think of these new documents?
Has gone back to me declining to comment. Now, this case is still scheduled to go to trial on March 12th.
March 12th. Just around the corner. In another memorandum filed Wednesday, prosecutors said O'Keefe's DNA was recovered from the broken taillight of Reed's vehicle. They also shared details of the case brought before a grand jury 2 years ago. Reed and O'Keefe were out drinking January 28th with a group of people, including Boston police officer Brian Elbert. Members of the group went back to Elbert's Fairview Road home, and Reed said she dropped O'Keefe off and then she went home. He was found the next morning and pronounced dead at the hospital. Prosecutors allege Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV and left him there to die. But Reed's attorneys have said evidence points to O'Keefe being attacked inside the home and brought outside, arguing, among other points, that the wounds of his bodies are not consistent with a crash. And I can agree with that.
Now to a case that has captured national attention and really left the town of Canton divided. Karen Reed was back in court today. She's accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. ABC 10's Abby Nisgoda is live in Dedham with an update on what Reed's attorneys are trying to do even before the trial starts. Abby?
I don't think
well,
so,
Corey,
P9.
You know as well as I do, usually the public wouldn't pay any attention to these kinds of pre-trial motions, but this case, it is different. Every move brings a crowd as Karen Reed's attorneys try to prove that she's the victim of a cover-up.
Is she guilty of murder or is she being framed? Karen Reed enters a court.
Do you guys have an opinion on this at this point? I know we're not there and we haven't heard everything. There's lots yet to come out. Nice. Thank you. If you find anything, do you mind anything different? Do you mind sending it to my Discord as well? Please, please, please. Did he have internal damage to ribs, lungs, or head trauma? Was his arm bruised around the scratches? I don't think so. I think they were just, let me show you the picture again. Just like that. Now, I've been bit by a shepherd. And what they do, you don't get puncture marks. They bite and they pull. So to see 2, and sometimes you'll get 4, 3, depending on how it lines up. But usually those 2 canines, they'll grab you and then they pull you. So they end up long. They're not little puncture holes. And his face was pummeled. So how did he get wounds on his face? He looked like he had been pummeled.
House in Dedham surrounded by demonstrators as her trial date gets closer. Inside the courtroom, Reed's attorneys argued several motions that they say will show a large-scale cover-up in the murder of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. They're calling into question the relationship between the family of the lead investigator and several people identified as witnesses. They say they've known each other for years.
And that, Your Honor, is a problem. And it shows more than a professional connection. It shows a personal connection.
They're fighting for access to phone records between the parties, convinced it will show a conflict of interest. But the prosecution says the relationship is distant at best.
Trooper Proctor has a sister who has a friend who has a sister who has a husband who has a brother who has a wife who has a sister who is Jennifer McCabe.
It's a very, very contentious proceeding.
Legal analyst Michael Coyne says all of this could delay the trial that's set for March.
The problem is we're still fighting about who gets what and when you get what.
This month marks 2 years since the murder outside of this home in Canton. Today, Reed left the courthouse without comment, but her father says they are hopeful justice will be on their side.
We're 24 months in. There's a reason it's been this long. A lot of conflicts, a lot of issues, but we believe there are people of character who will see us through.
Oh, I just couldn't imagine if that was my son in this type of situation. I mean, you'd be doing absolutely everything you can to protect your kid. So much is under, like, everything is suspicious, and there's explanations for things on both sides that are almost reasonable. But she has a lot of support when she's outside. As soon as she gets outside, and they are asking people not to rush her because it scares her, because you don't know why that person is rushing you. They could be rushing you to hurt you. So they are asking people not to rush her. But she comes out, and this is the kind of stuff that is happening outside of the courthouse. It amazes me. So yeah, they're just saying, please don't touch her. And you know, to me, it's not such a, I know a lot of people think differently, but from what I've learned over the last couple of years of doing this is there are very crooked cops out there. There just is. So do I think that there's a possibility of a cover-up? I think the possibility's there, yes.
Still a lot more to come on this case. Reed's attorneys are also fighting to unseal letters between the district attorney's office and the feds, who are separately reviewing this investigation. The trial is still set to start March 12th. Live in Dedham, I'm Abby Nisgo at NBC 10 Boston.
Yeah. How do I pause it? There we go. Pause. We don't want you. We don't want you. Okay, so there's also, hey, Mom, good morning, friend. Did you happy dance all night last night that bugger is guilty on all of those charges? Adam Montgomery. They didn't even have to see his ugly mug, and he convicted on all four. Other officers seem the most likely suspects to rig a suspect in paperwork, etc. Yes. Wasn't that the best? That was the best. Okay, so let's see here. Alleged link between suspect Karen Reed and the Turtleboy blogger detailed in court documents. And we've got the documents. I haven't gone all the way through them, but I have them. Let's go here. Let's take a peek.
In that search warrant application claiming that Karen Reed fed information about her case that was not available to the public to Aidan Kearney, the controversial blogger known as Turtleboy. In the past, her lawyers saying publicly they hadn't spoken with Turtleboy. The blogger saying the same. But these documents say that isn't the case and that they've been in touch for a while.
Karen Reed is with me.
Karen Reed's lawyers talking outside the courthouse after a hearing in 2022. Her lawyers by her side in court over the year plus since she was charged with murder.
So what do you think about her talking to Turtleboy? If this is the case, what do you think about that? Should that be her right? Because she's not convicted of anything? Or is that, I mean, they shouldn't be saying harass people. That's not what I'm saying. But to talk to him and tell him what's going on at this point, what do you think? Is that okay? Or do you think she's only doing it to stir the pot? I'd love to know what you think. Yeah. Do you know what? People have strong, strong opinions of Turtleboy. I haven't paid that much attention to him, to be honest with you. Who cares who talks to who? She's not under any legal compelling force to keep her quiet. That is what I'm thinking. I think Turtleboy as a mouthpiece, me and him had words on Twitter. He is not a fan of me. Well, I don't know him, but just from what I'm seeing, I would imagine if your opinion didn't go with his, he would get irked. That's just my personal opinion. Like I say, I don't know him and I don't plan on getting to know him. I'm more interested in the case than I am him. You don't know who, okay, we will get into that, friend. I'll show you. He's a blogger. Actually, I did have, let me see here. I want to see what I have here because I did have Turtleboy. Give me just a second here because I want to show you his when we're finished that, I'll take you to his I'll take you and show you what Turtleboy is about. I think he's hard to listen to, but he's been done dirty. Okay. Yeah, releasing confidential court information is not right, if I'm following correctly. As long as it's legal, she can speak out about it. Yeah, I don't think that they've banned, like, I don't think there's a gag order on her right now. Is there? I have a hard time listening to people who complain or bitch too much. Not to say he does, but it's hard for me to listen like mainstream media news. Turtleboy is a loose cannon, but he stands up for innocent people, which is good, but does not know when to stop, thus not good. Welcome, Tristan. By the way, hello. Hello, hello. It's on Discord in both your messages on the docs page. Okay, thank you. Not sure I'd want the name Turtleboy. Maybe if she had some sort of lawsuit around it going, she would have to be quiet. Yeah. Have you guys heard of a gag order or anything along those lines? I haven't. Okay, back to this.
In the death of her boyfriend, Boston cop John O'Keefe. Prosecutors say she hit him with her SUV outside a Canton home and left him for dead. But her lawyers say it's a cover-up, that O'Keefe was beaten inside the house and bitten by a dog. We love you, Aiden! That theory picking up steam after controversial blogger Aiden Kearney started talking.
Okay, I have to say that is weird. What I'm seeing here, I consider weird, that everybody is I think that's the one I have, P9. Let me take a look. See how many pages. I'll download it and check it out. Thank you, ma'am. You put it in the perfect place, P9. I don't think I have this one. You rock. Okay, so let me see here. Guys, give me a second. I think I will add that. So what are you guys thinking so far? Loose cannon, right? Okay, let me try this again. Okay, I'm just about there. They didn't release just one document, so it's kind of nice to be getting some new ones. So I appreciate that a bunch. Got it. I got it. Okay, where are we here?
Talking about it on his blog and in videos until he was jailed last month for witness intimidation. Now, a new search warrant application filed by state police says Reed was feeding information about her case, not meant for the public, to Kearney, who posted it on his blog. According to state police, Reed, her lawyers, and Kearney have publicly denied being in contact, but documents claim they'd been in touch for months, even meeting for lunch, saying Kearney texted a friend of Karen Reed saying, quote, "We had a great time." State police say Reed had used a friend to get Kearney unreleased documents, photos, and grand jury details, but say when that friendship went south, she started talking with the blogger directly, saying the two shared 189 phone calls, talking for more than 40 hours. Now, we've reached out to Karen Reed's lawyers who say they're not commenting at this time.
Yeah, they're not commenting at this time. So, okay, I've got that. I got that. So I'll show you guys. So this is Turtleboy's page. Get rid of all these ads. Turtleboy Daily News. So most of it on here is about Canton. And look at, he's got like 288, 289. Like he's got a lot of information. So let's see. This is a week ago. What have we got here? I cannot be your Valentine. Jazzy. I don't know what I just did there. Okay. Everything, you guys can see everything good? Today is Valentine. Although I'm in jail and a little bit lonely, I'm writing to let you know that I'm declining your request to be my Valentine. Don't get me wrong, I'm strangely flattered, but at the end of the day, you're just not my type. Very good. At least he's not rude. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Let's see here. pizza protest. Latest. What do we got there? Back to the Canton. Let's see what he's got to say. 16 hours ago, this was put up. Canton cover-up, part 297. Unsealed defense motion reveals Karen Reed never called Turtleboy the intimidator. Earlier in the week, the Commonwealth attempted to divide Karen Reed and Turtleboy, but by claiming that Reed referred to Turtleboy as an intimidator. In the defense motion to disqualify the Norfolk DA's office. However, the defense motion was unsealed yesterday. We learned that this was yet another lie from the Commonwealth. The intimidator. In the defendant's motion to disqualify and sanction the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, the defendant attempts to disassociate herself from Mr. Adrian Kearney, which is Turtleboy. The man she now calls an intimidator who used his website, TB News, which is where we're at, Turtleboy Live, YouTube page, and associated social media accounts to perpetually intimidate and harass witnesses expected to testify as part of the Commonwealth's case against the defendant. See defendant's motion for sanctions and disqualifications. However, for months, the defendant and counsel have engaged in a concerted effort to use Mr. Kearney, Turtleboy, as a literal bullhorn to say what they could not and to disseminate information and opinions counsel knows will have substantial likelihood of material prejudicing prejudicing the proceedings. Support Team Turtle. So there is a 15-page motion. So he is supposed to get out in the very near future. Is it a week away? Controversial Turtleboy blogger facing 2 additional charges in a new indictment. There's Adrian Kearney. Ahead of his planned bail hearing for pre-existing charges on Friday, a new indictment was filed against a controversial Massachusetts blogger known as Turtleboy, whose real name is Aidan Timothy Kearney. The new charges, court records show, are intimidation of witnesses, a felony, and disclosing content of a wiretap, a misdemeanor. Copies of the indictment reveal both charges pertain to the same victim. Kearney was originally arrested in October, and a Norfolk County grand jury indicted him on 16 counts in December. Those charges, including 8 counts of intimidation of a witness, 5 counts of picketing a witness, and 3 counts of conspiracy to intimidate a witness. So this is what they're saying he's been up to. They're going to say, no, that's not what is happening at all, that he's using his right to free speech. AKA Turtleboy expected to be released from prison today. Okay, I knew it was coming up. And I know he's doing a live. Hopefully every jury candidate heard Turtleboy first. All these papers are really saying, cover up, this is quite the read here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Kearney is scheduled to be in a Norfolk Superior Court on Friday afternoon. So that's this afternoon. Come in. Kearney is a
Aiden Curity faced new charges. Our Emily Maha is live outside the courthouse in Dedham. And Emily, a lot of strong reactions there tonight.
Well, Sean, Jen, Aiden Carney's lawyer, calling the judge's decision disgusting. Tonight, the well-known blogger will not be going home, instead heading to the House of Corrections. This is the moment the blogger known as Turtleboy walked out of the courthouse in shackles. Carney is charged with intimidating a witness and assault and battery on a household member. The prosecutor says he shoved his ex-girlfriend, who's also a witness in the ongoing murder investigation of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Investigators say O'Keefe was killed by his girlfriend, Karen Reed. Carney's lawyer says the allegations are lies, saying the woman claimed to be pregnant and asked Carney to come over while she took an abortion pill. His lawyer says Carney recorded that conversation and posted it online. It was played in the courtroom today before the judge made his decision. You can hear the gasp from those inside as the judge revoked Carney's bail, his lawyer then taking to the courtroom steps.
So 2 more charges, and he is still expected to get out. Dandy, I sent you a message. I'm not sure if you're aware of what I messaged you about, but I'm giving you a heads up.
Almost motion to revoke Mr. King's bail without.
We're completely disgusted after making that presentation that he's going to be held. The judge made his decision, and we're going to review it. We're going to do everything we can.
Carney showed little emotion after learning he'd be heading to the House of Corrections. He had just been in court last week after a grand jury returned a 16-count indictment, all connected to intimidating witnesses in the Karen Reed case. Now, Carney will be back in court next month for these charges. The judge warning him to have no contact with his ex-girlfriend, saying, do not call her from the House of Corrections.
All righty then. All righty then. What do you guys think of Turtleboy? There is so many different opinions about this guy. I mean, unreal. I'm going to go over here. DNA evidence links Karen Reed's car. Let's see what we got going here.
WBZ has obtained new court documents in the Karen Reed murder case. In these documents, prosecutors say the DNA recovered from a broken taillight matches the victim, Officer John O'Keefe. They also say the taillight is the same material from Karen Reed's car. Prosecutors also found that broken taillight in the victim's clothing. Human hair found on Reed's car is still undergoing testing. Prosecutors say Reed hit and killed O'Keefe during a night of heavy drinking. Reed is accusing prosecutors of a cover-up.
So a lot of people are saying she was fairly sober. Some are saying she was pretty drunk. So again, I don't know what side you go to. So all of these mounds of snow, that's my impression or my understanding is there was basically a skiff. I'm going to have to look. I have to find it actually. The cop's camera, because that'll give us a way, way better idea as to what it was like when this happened.
In this case.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, we've done Turtleboy. Just want to double check, and then we'll get into the document. So yeah, there was this. These guys keep kicking me out though. Yeah. Oh. What do you think about this tail light and having DNA there? What do you think? And I didn't see, when they first went there, I didn't see any of these items that the prosecution are saying is there. I am pretty sure that there was no big chunks of red from that tail light. And why would there be hair there? Was he sitting there? Like, this doesn't make sense in my bubble. I'm not understanding. Not understanding. All righty. I got to page 12. Let's take a look at the documents. So these were just filed 2 days ago, February 21st. Have many of you guys seen this? Have you seen this document, guys? Okay, I can probably bump it up a little bit. I want you guys to be able to see it. So this is 49 pages long. So can you guys see that good? Have we got it? Let me see there. Let's see. Yeah, that can't be. It's a cover-up. Judge seems... You know, we have learned that just because they've got badges, just because they have power, does not mean that they're honest. We've been seeing this over and over and over again. I mean, even way back, wasn't New York's mayor caught using schnee? Like there's, I mean, that's not crooked at all. I'm sure that I seen that guy using schnee, being told that he was using schnee, which is another word for Coca-Cola. Let's call it schnee. Is it, Tristan? Mega crooked too. Isn't that just, I mean, how flippin' sad is that? You know, we should be able to trust our officials. And it seems more like they do what they want because they know that they're protected. It's, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So I'm going to turn off my camera for a second while we get into this. I don't know. And let's see here. I've never named my cars. I think you're right. They really want him to not be able to talk. I think you're right. Yeah. Mom, are you still in here around about? Hello, hello. Mom. If you're still in there, Dandy put something up a little bit earlier. And Okay. Dandy put something up. Okay, are you watching? Because I'll show you. She's not familiar with this individual, but I know you and I are both. Let me find it. There we are. This guy. I'm just going to put that up for a second. I won't advertise that human. I just wanted, yeah. Yeah. Nothing, but he's giving out information. So I don't know about you. I don't click those links. Those are not links. Yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah, no. Stay away from that mofo. All right, guys, let's get into this. Commonwealth's opposition to defendant's motion to dismiss indictments and memorandum in support thereof. So this is 49 pages. We're just going to go through the important stuff because a lot of it we already know. So the defendant's motion to dismiss based on unsubstantiated claims that the presentation of evidence to the grand jury was unfair and misleading in violation of Commonwealth versus Odell. So the statement on the case on February 2nd, 2022, the defendant was arraigned and charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide by negligent operation and leaving the scene of a personal injury, death in violation, and then the code. A Norfolk grand jury heard evidence in relation to this matter over the span of 14 days. They heard from 42 witnesses and they had 56 exhibits. The grand jury transcripts encompass a total of 1,445 pages. On June 9th, 2022, the defendant was indicted by Norfolk grand jury for a second-degree M in violation with, and then manslaughter while operating under the influence and leaving the scene of a personal injury or death in violation. The defendant was arraigned in Norfolk Superior Court on June 2022. January 5th, 2024, the defendant filed a motion to dismiss the indictments. The defendant does not challenge the sufficiency of evidence to establish probable cause for the indictments, nor does the defendant challenge the sufficiency of the evidence that establish her identity as the perpetrator of the M. Statement of facts. What are you guys doing over there? I think what I'll do, guys, just so I got you. Okay, so I want, let me get 2 seconds here. And sorry, guys. seconds, and we got this. There, I can see the chat better. And I think what I'm going to do is, can I do it from here? Give me a second here. I might not be able to do what I want from here. Go over here. Sorry, guys. A little bit of bouncing around for me for a moment. I'm trying to find something. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. There we are. There we are, guys. There you go. Happy belated birthday. Come join the crew. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. There you are. Grab them up. So, welcome. Who do we got? Tristan, Mom, Pam, Darren, and Christy. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, so on January 29th, at approximately 6:04 a.m., the Canton Police Department received a 911 call from a woman reporting a male party subsequently identified as victim John O'Keefe, found in snow outside 34 Fairview Road. Now, this woman that called and reported a male party outside in the snow knew who he was. They had been friends. Why didn't she say my buddy is outside or an officer is down? I don't know. At the time of the 911 call, there was an active blizzard occurring with heavy snow and temperatures in the teens. Fairview Road and observed 3 females waving at him from the front yard area of 34 Fairview Road. Officer Sarif's cruiser camera footage, it's his footage that I would like to find, captured his arrival and depicts the weather and the visibility conditions during the emergency response. The 3 females were in the left corner of the property near the roadway in the area of the flagpole and the fire hydrant. The 3 females were identified as the defendant, Jennifer McCabe, and Carrie Roberts. Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch and not breathing. At this time, Canton Fire and EMS arrived to look over the resuscitative efforts. A Good Samaritan Medical Center in Brockton is where he was taken, and he was determined to be deceased by Dr. Justin Rice. Canton Police Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, Detective Sergeant Michael Lank, and Sergeant Sean Good arrived on the scene shortly after the 911 call. Sergeant Good had contacted Detective Sergeant Lank directly at his home at approximately 6:08 a.m. Minutes later, 911 call was received. Sergeant Lank arrived on Fairview Road at approximately 6:24. Following Officer Saraf, Officer Mullaney, and Sergeant Good's arrival. Mr. O'Keefe was already in the back of the ambulance when Sergeant Lank arrived and was transported to the hospital shortly after. Sergeant Lank, accompanied by Lieutenant Gallagher, spoke briefly with Miss McCabe. Subsequently, at approximately 9 a.m., Sergeant Lank was contacted at the Canton police station by Miss McCabe and returned to the resident to speak to her further. Detective Sergeant Lank spoke with fellow Canton officers who had the opportunity to speak to the defendant prior to his arrival on Fairview Road. Sergeant Lank spoke with the homeowners of 34 Fairview Road, Brian and Nicole Albert. Not once, guys, did they go in that house. They didn't go in there to check. They didn't do anything. They talked to them. Oh, yay, yay, yay. Welcome, welcome. Love it. Oh my God. So tell me, the paperwork that comes out, do you take it as gospel? What we're going through, do you believe this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? What do you guys think? I'm at the point with this case that I trust nobody. I really don't. I'm having a hard time trusting law enforcement and that side of things. And I'm having a hard time believing that everything that the defense is saying is also fact. You know, another one of these cases. Yeah, I think it needs to be proven. Yeah, I agree, friend. I agree. So you guys are similar to me when we go through this. You're paying attention to it, but you're also not taking it as gospel, as I say. I just don't know what to think of everything. They just released a shite ton of paperwork. A shite ton. I've got this one. I can't remember who sent me the other document. Was it UP9? It was one of you ladies. Oh, did you? Thank you very much, Mom. You rock, like in all possible ways. You rock. Does somebody mind putting Mom's link up again for me? Actually, I'd really appreciate it. Whenever she pops in, one of you guys, if you don't mind, just throw her link up. Thank you, P9. Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. You're good with the documents. I love it. You're on top of it, P9. So yeah, I'd really appreciate it. Instead of me having to ask, just if you see her, throw it up for her. I would love it. I just like to do it for you, friend. You've got so much on the go over there. And I love how you do things. You're honest. You don't put up with BS. You're a great advocate. Yeah. There we go. Mind of Monsters. Please, please, please check her out. You won't regret it. Thank you so much, you guys. Subscribe to the champion of campaigning for the voiceless, our neighborhood crime fighter, Mind of Monsters. I love that. Thank you so much. I'm the same. I have to see how everything starts panning out. I just don't know. I speak the truth, friend. Nothing but the truth. You're definitely part of the fam. We've got you now. No getting away. Oh, that's right. Thank you very much. And maybe we'll throw that up as well. Make that part of our routine. Life on the road is everything you see, experience, and feel. Come join my journey as I tour the country on my motorcycle. Subscribe to P9. Absolutely. We've got some great people in here. You really need to check them out. Okay. So, where were we on here? Canton Police Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, Sergeant Lank, and Sergeant Good searched for any physical evidence in the mounds of snow surrounding the immediate area where Mr. O'Keefe was located. Pieces of broken cocktail-style glass and multiple patches of red that appeared to be DNA was discovered. The Canton officers secured the glass as evidence and obtained 6 blood samples from the snow. So, if they only took 6 samples from the snow, I'm not understanding the lack of concern about that's it for DNA. So, when it comes to this glass, no one knows the type of glass or where it came from. So, yeah, again, when they're talking about the mounds of snow, 2 inches at that time is what they're saying, 2 inches. The Massachusetts State Police Detective Unit assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office was notified at approximately 6:38 a.m. The members of the Massachusetts State Police responded directly to the Canton Police Department. Michael Proctor and Sergeant Yuri Buchenheim, alrighty then, were among the troopers who responded and began interviewing the witnesses. They first spoke with Miss McCabe at her home. Miss McCabe indicated she and some friends were at the Waterfall Bar and Grill during the evening of January 28th. She arrived with her husband Matthew at approximately 9 p.m. At approximately 11 p.m., Mr. O'Keefe, Officer John O'Keefe, and the defendant arrived at the waterfall together. Miss McCabe stated that Mr. John O'Keefe, Officer John O'Keefe, and the defendant have been dating for approximately 2 years and that the defendant stayed at Mr. O'Keefe's home most nights. Miss McCabe observed the defendant walking into the bar holding a glass cup from C.F. McCarthy's with a clear liquid inside that she believed to be a vodka soda drink. The defendant had entered the waterfall with a glass inside her coat. Okay. Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant had been at C.F. McCarthy's bar across the street from the waterfall prior to coming into the waterfall. Miss McCabe observed Officer John O'Keefe to be wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers. She stated that the defendant and the victim appeared to be in a good mood and did not observe any arguing between the two during the course of the evening. The description of the group and the atmosphere within the bar and between the defendant and victim was consistent among each of the witnesses present. Everyone within the group was invited back to 34 Fairview Road. The resident of Miss McCabe's sister, Nicole Albert, and her husband, Brian. Miss McCabe observed the victim and the defendant leave the waterfall together. As Miss McCabe was arriving in her vehicle, she received a text message from Mr. O'Keefe, "Where to?" At 12:14 a.m., Miss McCabe replied with the address of 34 Fairview Road at 12:18 a.m. Mr. O'Keefe called Miss McCabe to ask more specifically where the house was located on Fairview. Miss McCabe indicated to Mr. O'Keefe over the phone that the house was near his niece's friend's home, whose mother the victim used to date. All right. While inside the residence, following her arrival, Miss McCabe observed a black SUV consistent with the defendant's vehicle, a 2021 black Lexus SUV, arrive in front of the residence. From her vantage point at the door of the home, Miss McCabe texts Mr. O'Keefe at 12:31, stating hello, and again at 12:40, pull up behind me, referencing her vehicle's parking spot within the driveway to the home. Sorry, guys, I need a liquid. Okay, so pull up behind me, referencing her vehicle's parking spot and within the driveway to the home, located on the right side of the property if you look at the residence from the street. So let's see here. I do have a visual just to give us an idea. So this gives you a little bit of an idea. So they're saying that John O'Keefe was found between that fire hydrant and that flagpole, somewhere in there. And what she's saying is the two car bays, there's a driveway there, and she wanted them to pull up behind her in the driveway. Most likely, what the defense is saying is that she dropped him off there, which would make sense. But then they're trying to extend it to her being on this far side with the fire hydrant, doing something she's not supposed to be doing. Okay, so Miss McCabe then observed the black SUV move from its initial place where it had stopped to the street near the driveway and proceeded left to the left side of the property in the area where Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered. At 12:45 a.m., Miss McCabe texted Mr. O'Keefe again and said hello, then observed the black SUV drive away from the home. At approximately 4:53 a.m., Miss McCabe received a phone call from the victim's juvenile niece at the defendant's direction. Miss McCabe answered the call from the victim's niece, spoke to her briefly, and the niece then handed the phone to the defendant. The defendant sounded distraught over the phone, and the defendant decided to drive herself over to Miss McCabe's home, which is where she last seen him, right? Makes total sense. We know that allegedly at this time she's freaking right out. Okay, the defendant told Miss McCabe that she last remembered seeing the victim at the Waterfall Bar. Miss McCabe informed the defendant that she observed the defendant and the victim leave the bar together. Miss McCabe also later informed the defendant she had seen the defendant's vehicle in front of the home on Fairview. The defendant informed Miss McCabe that she and the victim had gotten into an argument the last time she had seen him. Miss McCabe then placed several calls to people that had been in the waterfall or lived close by, including Julie Albert. Looking into Mr. O'Keefe had gone to their house and spent the night. Looking to see if Mr. O'Keefe had gone to their house, Julie Albert indicated that she received a missed call from Miss McCabe at 4:55 a.m., noticing that she missed when she woke up later that morning. The defendant arrived at Miss McCabe's home around 5:30. Miss McCabe then drove the defendant's vehicle from her house back to Mr. O'Keefe's house as the defendant was too hysterical, and Miss Roberts followed along in her own vehicle. While driving to Mr. O'Keefe's house, the defendant stated to Miss McCabe, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Defendant also told her about the cracked taillight on her vehicle. Once they arrived at the victim's home, the defendant and Miss McCabe looked at the cracked taillight, which Miss McCabe described as on the passenger side rear taillight as cracked and missing pieces. Miss McCabe spoke briefly with the victim's niece. Miss McCabe and the defendant then entered Mr. Roberts' vehicle to go looking for the victim. The defendant was seated in the back seat, while Miss Roberts drove. Miss McCabe was seated in the front passenger seat. It was snowing heavily. I really, really want to find that body cam footage that showed how much snow was actually there, because based on what we're seeing, there was a lot by this time, but I don't think that earlier in the day. But correct me if I'm wrong. All righty. Are we hearing some truths anywhere in here, do you guys think? So it was snowing heavily with wind blowing, creating poor visibility. Miss McCabe stated that just prior to 34 Fairview, there was a cluster of trees. Immediately, the defendant stated that she saw the victim. The statement initially confused Miss McCabe and Miss Roberts, as they were unable to see Mr. O'Keefe's body lying in the snow. Miss McCabe stated that the defendant screamed to open the door and ran directly over to the body, near the cluster of trees, and laid on top of him for warmth and began CPR. Miss McCabe stated the victim was lying on his back, covered with approximately, they're saying 6 inches of snow, with his phone later discovered on the ground underneath him. The defendant then yelled at Miss McCabe twice to Google how long you have to be left outside to die from hypothermia or something to that effect. But I don't think this is the Haas one. On January 29th, troopers interviewed Mr. Matthew McCabe separately from his wife, Mr. McCabe indicated that he had known Mr. O'Keefe for approximately 8 years and had met the defendant a handful of times. Mr. McCabe stated that he had left the bar last from his group and was headed to his in-laws' home at 34 Fairview Road. When he entered his vehicle, his wife Jennifer was on the phone with the victim, telling him how to go to 34 Fairview. He had been looking out for an open front door, though the glass storm door, and described the SUV positioned as initially parked in front of the house. Wowzer, guys. My brain's already spinning. I'm not sure what to think. Experts have spoken on the details, but small town corruption is real. I hope they have evidence and details that have not been leaked or muddied by rumors. Yeah, well said. Well said. And the sad thing is I mean, we're only going to go so far in this document, and then I'm going to read through the rest of it and do the same thing, highlight it, and we'll go through it again. We'll go through the new stuff. But, it's still dry property. It's going to pain. Yeah. Yeah. Just wowzers, guys. Okay, let's see here. So while at the Fairview residence, he observed a large SUV pull up in front of the house. He'd been looking out the opened front door through the glass storm door and described the SUV positioning as initially parked in front of the house. Mr. McCabe looked out the window some minutes later and observed the same vehicle had moved towards the left side of the property. He observed the same vehicle driving off down Fairview, heading the same direction it had faced while parked. So the question here is what about that 3-point turn? Why wasn't that mentioned? Or is it like everybody has said, there's not enough room for a 3-point turn? What do you guys think of that? There was no, she did a Yui. We call them a Yui. I don't know what you guys call them. But there's nothing about her doing a Yui and heading the other direction. They're saying that she continued to drive the direction that she was pointed in. So both indicated in their sworn testimony before the grand jury that their nephew, Colin Albert, was present at the home upon their arrival, and he had left their home well before any of the guests arrived from the waterfall. I don't quite know why they are trying to place him in these different spots. Are they going to try and say that he may have had something to do with this? I'm pretty curious. So neither were aware of the defendant and the victim had planned on coming over. So this is the homeowners. They're saying, well, we didn't know he was coming. Well, what about the invitation that was given at the waterfall? Neither heard nor saw anything outside their home over the course of the morning until Miss McCabe woke them. 1.5 car lengths to the left far edge of the home's property, where the flagpole was located along with some bushes. He stated that the SUV's driver did not appear to place the vehicle in park at any point, and he observed the rear brake lights were illuminated throughout. His observation to include a third top center light. Mr. Nagel reported hearing the noises come from the interior of the SUV. Mr. Nagel indicated that he at no time while he confronted the home witnesses, everyone enter or exit from the vehicle, nor did he observe any footprints surrounding the vehicle in the then falling snow. Mr. Nagel indicates what his friend pulled away from the side of the road when they were leaving. They drove past the black SUV. He observed the interior light on. Within the vehicle, a Caucasian female operator seated inside the vehicle holding the steering wheel at 10 and 2, staring straight ahead of her. Ooh, liquids, guys. My eyes, they get sleepy. I have to take a little break. Water. I don't even want to ask you guys what the concrete's for. I'm just going to leave that one floating around. So I'm going to have to look, or does anybody know how long her trial is supposed to be? Have you guys heard? And is Adrian, well, we know he's got 2 charges. Is he going to end up back in the Hooskow? Are they trying to quiet him? Is that what's going on there? Or is he just irritating his fact? Okay. Give me a second. So later in the day of January 29th, troopers Matthew Dunn and David DeSico interviewed Miss Carrie Roberts. Miss Roberts stated to them at approximately 5 a.m. she received a call from the defendant stating that John had not come home. It was snowing and that she was worried. The defendant further stated to Miss Roberts, John's dead. Carrie, I wonder if he's dead. It's snowing. He got hit by a plow. Miss Roberts got dressed and left her vehicle, eventually meeting the defendant at Miss McCabe's home, where she observed the defendant to be hysterical. She believed the defendant was still intoxicated in the morning and had, oh my word, guys, and told her that she did not remember last night. Miss Roberts reported the defendant stating, I was so drunk, I don't even remember going to your sister's last night, referring to Miss McCabe's sister, the homeowner of 34 Fairview Road. Miss Roberts followed the defendant's black Lexus SUV back to Mr. O'Keefe's house, and they went inside the home for a period of time. Holy guys. I don't know where these are coming from. Am I hiding? Let's hope. What are you guys talking about in there? You got any ideas for me, or are we still talking about cement? Good lordy, lordy, lordy. I have to give my eyes a break, guys. I apologize. Oh my God, it's got me yawning. Like, I don't know if I need new glasses, if that'll help, but when I read now, my eyes get so tired and I start yawning, my eyes run, I get the sniffles. It's like, what? What the hell? Plead the fifth. Okay, just about ready to go back. So, are you guys, let me see here. Maybe I'll start a poll. Okay. There you go. And what did I do over here? Give me just a second. Okay. That's what I voted with, the little I've heard you say today, Frankie. Yeah. There's a lot to it, Mexi. Like, there is a lot. It's rabbit holes all over the place. There is so much to this. So, what we'll do is we're going to go through a PowerPoint, probably the next live I do, and it's going to explain every person, who they are, how they're involved, where they were, any comments. This document is amazing. And I think now that I'm realizing a lot of you are not that familiar with this, I'll have to make that. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to make that a priority just so everybody understands where this is going. I have to shake my yawns. Yeah, PowerPoints are awesome. Okay, let's get back. So Miss Roberts stated that the defendant told her and Miss McCabe about a cracked rear passenger taillight and showed both of them the area of her vehicle. Miss Roberts then drove her vehicle with Miss McCabe in the front passenger seat and the defendant in the rear passenger side to 34 Fairview Road. As they arrived in the area of 34 Fairview, Miss Roberts stated the defendant screamed, "There he is, I see him," from inside the vehicle and screamed to be let out. Even after initially exiting the vehicle, Miss Roberts stated she still could not see the victim in the conditions and further stated that he was covered in snow. They immediately tried CPR, and Miss McCabe called 911. Miss Roberts observed the victim to be lying on his back with his arms by his side. Wasn't that if you get hit by something, do you just lie on your back with your arms straight down by your side? Doesn't that alone sound a little bit suspicious? Oh, it does, Mom. This case has got a lot of moving parts and a lot of players in the game. It really does. And this trial is coming up on the 12th of March. And I would love to see us all get ready. So we all know what's going on, because there is a lot. Okay. So yeah, laying on his back with his arms by his side. Is that how a person ends up? Just lay down and put your arms by your side? Not up by your head, not kind of fetal position trying to keep your trunk warm. I think so. That's it. When you fall, you do not wind up straight. And if you've been hit by a vehicle, I mean, that's not how you end up. You end up like crooked all over the place, not just laying there. I find it really unusual. I really, really do. Okay. Right eye was swollen shut with blood coming from his nose and mouth. So are they trying to say that he was sitting down when he was hit and got mashed in the face? When the paramedics arrived and lifted the victim's body onto the stretcher, Miss Roberts observed the grass underneath the victim's back was not covered in snow as the remainder of the area was. So, again, a little suspicious. I think I've got a picture of that. Yeah, I do. So this is obviously later because there's snow under there, and this is not the conditions the weather was in when he was found. There was not this much snow yet. Or when he was placed there, or when he was hit and landed there. The vehicle's impact would almost roll your body, and once you catch air, gravity would take over, right? I think so. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. I mean, usually when a person gets hit, your shoes are knocked off, you're broken. You don't have black eyes and stuff unless he's sitting on the ground. Let's see what's that. I've seen boxers and fighters get a good hit and fall stiff and straight, like how is described, though. In reverse, with that flat face of the SUV in the rear, I would imagine you'd more likely end up with a tire roll over versus a hood impact that launched you. Yes, I agree, Jonathan. He was alive long enough to melt it or was placed before snowfall. I think he was there before snowfall. Personally, I think he was there before snowfall. You know, if in fact he was in that house and he got taken out there and just maybe they didn't think he was unalive, you know, Just throw him out in the snow, like, get the hell out of here. And maybe they figured he'd get up and walk away. You know, it's just a scenario. Just a scenario. As we know, the think tank is all about ideas, not saying it's fact. Okay. So let's see here. Again, Miss Roberts observed the grass underneath the victim's back, not covered in snow, as the remainder of the area was. The defendant repeatedly asked Miss Roberts, Miss McCabe, and the officers and the paramedics, "Is he dead?" Repeatedly, that phraseology, numerous times to each. The defendant further grabbed Miss Roberts by the arm and pointed and asked her if they were really working on John or if he was already dead. So, if that is the case, and she was wondering, you know, she had laid on him trying to warm him up. She had given him CPR. And it would be obvious that he was no longer alive. But if you go into a shock, you would still believe there's a possible chance that he is okay. So it looks like I have some work to do because I've got page 12 next. And I'm going to save that for another stream. We've been almost 2 hours. So I would like to set up another stream. I need to stretch my legs a little bit and do some things I need to do. Rule of thumb is if you ever run over your significant other in winter, do not Google how long it takes to expire in the snow. The plow driver said he was not there when he went through. That is what he's saying. Yeah. Yeah. He said he was not there. So, I mean, did she hit him? Or was he attacked in that house? And we know what dogs are like, right? If he was fight, let's just this is a hypothetical. What if John was in that house? Because his we're going to see if we get the trial, we are going to see that John's phone has him walking stairs that they're saying was in that house. And then they got him going downstairs. So we know, because we've watched the Murdoch trial, right? And we do know that those phones can give like the best information ever when it comes to what people have done in that time frame. It can tell you how many steps you made. It can tell you if you turn left. It can tell you, oh my God, the information. And then on top of that, the information that's on her vehicle, that little, we'll call it the black box that's in her vehicle. If she backed over something, she's in a really nice car. She's in a Lexus. If she backed up over somebody, revved up and then backed up over somebody, we're going to see that in that little black box. It's going to tell the story. And we have not heard yet the information that has come out. So I do believe, didn't we talk about this a little bit early? I think Turtleboy is getting out today. Yes. Brian Walsh is a perfect example of what not to do after a crime. Just unreal, guys. Unreal. So I think for now, this is where I'm going to leave it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rest of this document and set it up for the next stream. There's that we'll look at, and we will also, if there's enough time, we'll go through that PowerPoint. The PowerPoint alone is going to take a little bit of time, so I'll kind of figure out which way to do this. And yeah, we'll just keep working on this a little bit, learn as much as we can. And when the trial comes, we'll be up to date. We'll know what's been going on. Okay. All righty, guys. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit that bell for me, and you guys will not miss any of the content that's coming up. I will be doing part 9 of Ethan Crumbley's Miller hearing as well. So there's that. Keep your eyes peeled, guys, because we have stuff coming up. Okay, I adore you all. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next one.